Hello YouTube, this is Red Fox. I just got my greedy little hands on a copy of Mantic Journal 5, Warpath. Okay, well I sort of got my hands on it. I have a free electronic copy in PDF form. It's not a physical hard copy. However, I did read all 56 pages with the usual enthusiasm, just like the title suggests. Most of this issue is related to the sci-fi game Warpath. Apparently this is going to be the last issue of Mantic Journal that will be published as a physical magazine. Mantic Games will still be publishing the same content by some other means. And what exactly this other means will be is uncertain. It has been hinted that Mantic will be selling battle books, which I would guess would be similar to the 40k codexes and the Warhammer Army books. So that was one unproven rumor. Another thing I have heard is that the Mantic Journal will be sold in electronic format only. The email I received with the free issue 5 had a link to this Wargame Vault website, which is currently selling Mantic Journal issues 1 through 3 in electronic format. So there will be a link to this website in the video description. They're sold cheap. It was suggested that future issues of the Mantic Journal might be sold in this same way from the same website from Wargame Vault. So this is another rumor about the future of the Mantic Journal. Let's take a look at issue 5. They have some concept sketches of corporation troopers. Mantic tweets and blog posts all claim that the corporation is the next army to be released. And I'm not going to try to show you the corporation trooper on my computer screen because of glare issues, but I printed the PDF. Here's a corporation trooper right here with his laser weapon. And down there is the artillery guy. So, printed up fresh from my PDF. Okay, then we have ad for Ancient Grudge. Ancient Grudge is an expansion to Dwarf King's Hold. Here's the ad here, Dwarf King's Hold. And they've got the Dwarf Berserker Lord with his 2 axes. Looks very fierce and dangerous. Love that guy. He's a metal model, the Dwarf Berserker Lord. So Ancient Grudge is an expansion to Dwarf King's Hold. Because it's an expansion, you need either Dead Rising or Green Menace to use Ancient Grudge. Ancient Grudge has rules for adding a 3rd or 4th player to what was previously just a 2-player game. The expansion introduces the concept of war bands. And a war band is a group of models selected based on a point system like in other war games. And this is a cool new feature for the game because it adds a lot of replay value because you can do the same scenario over and over again with a different war band. Okay, next there's an ad for goblins. Apparently there's going to be a metal 10 model box set of goblins with spears. So expect to see this from Mantic in early 2012. They have this interview with Alessio Cavatore. I hope I'm saying his name right. But this is the game designer who created Kings of War and Warpath. And this interview is all questions about the new game Warpath. And in summary, the game mechanics are similar to Kings of War. This is the Mantic style. The vehicle rules are a departure from Kings of War because there's no vehicles in the fantasy game. In both games, I guess it says you don't remove individual models, but rather units as a whole. I read that, but I'm not sure if that's true. I'm unclear how that works exactly. I'll have to check the rules. But Alessio likes to time games with the chess clock. And there's an available rule in Kings of War and Warcraft to use a chess clock to time the game. And Mantic sells a chess clock on their website. Alessio says that 8 races are planned for the Warpath game. These would be Forge Fathers, Marauders, the Corporation, the Asterians, which are like pixie fairies, the Zor, the Plague, the Rebels, and the 8th race. Okay, currently the only races with models are the Forge Fathers and the Marauders. There are a few pages of background in this issue about the Corporation, and this is just a general description of the Corporation government and its expansion strategies. A few more pages hold a narrative about Corporation workers. There's this Corporation worker who discovers hostile aliens, so they have a little story for entertainment. Bit of fluff. Okay, following this, there are 3 pages of background about the Marauder Orcs. The Corporation has never been able to control the violence of the Orcs race. Okay, there's a page of fluff about the Marauder Grunt units, another page about the Raptor Trike vehicles, an Orc character named Captain Grognark. He gets a 1-page description here. Okay, following this, there are 3 pages of background about the Marauder Orcs. The only Kings of War content in this whole issue is this 1-page ad for 5 orc gore riders. So you've got fantasy orcs on giant wild boars. Pretty cool. They do a couple of pages of Forge Father fluff next. There's a 1-page description for the Steel Warriors, and then a page about Storm Rage veterans, and another page about a couple of artillery units, the Jotun Hailstorm Cannon, and another unreleased model. First Contact is a Warpath scenario designed around the Fate of the Forge Star box set. They pit the Marauders against the Forge Fathers. It's a pretty simple scenario without a lot of special rules. You put the Orcs on one side of the table and you put the Forge Fathers on the other side, and then you try to kill all your opponent's units. Whoever's left standing wins. That's pretty much how it goes. Okay, so they have a several-page narrative story about an orc named Mukluk, and the story helps enhance the First Contact scenario. A little bit of fluff there. They have ads in this magazine for the Army Painter and for Wayland Games. I see a lot of Army Painter ads in the Mantic Journal. I assume that company is closely related to Mantic Games. They seem to have a lot of connections. Okay, so Jake Thornton is the creator of Mantic's Dwarf King's Hold series of games. And in this issue, Jake Thornton introduces a 5-player scenario called Summoning Lessons. So you get 1 dwarf player opposing 4 undead players. Now, if you don't have 5 people, you can do it with as few as 2 or anything in between. But ideally 5 players. So the dwarf player needs to move the dwarf prince Volbar to claim a treasure, the Hold Horn, and then escape the dungeon. And the undead players win by killing Prince Volbar before he can do any of that. Okay, so there's quite a variety of special rules for this scenario. They've got hidden exits to the dungeon, and they've got the Hold Horn, and there's a special rule that provides the undead players with a limitless supply of undead warriors. It's quite interesting, and I like the special rules. It's a good scenario. So basically that is all the useful content in this issue. At the end they have a catalog section advertising products for Warpath, Kings of War, and Dwarf King's Hold. They have a free Mantic point, And I don't think I can actually redeem a Mantic point from an electronic PDF. I don't know if they thought that through. But that's too bad. I guess I don't actually get a free Mantic point. So that's it for this issue. Take care, YouTube.